Morning, students. Our student topic is diseases of external nose and nasal vestibule. Okay. Uh, in the last class, I think I explained about choanal atresia in brief. Today, I'll explain in detail because it comes under congenital diseases of the nose, and it's very important short answer question also. Okay. Coming to the choanal atresia, it's present in 1:5,000 to 1:8,000 live births, and most of the conditions it is unilateral. Okay, up to 65 to 70% of the cases unilateral. In 75% of the bilateral cases have other anomalies like polydactyly, nasal auricular and palatal deformities, Rosen syndrome, craniosynostosis, microencephaly, meningoencephalosis, and all cleft palate and all. Okay, most of this choanal atresia is 29% is bony and 71% is mixed. Mixed means bony and cartilaginous part. Mainly it is 71% mixed type and 29% of cases it is bony. Okay. I think I explained it in the previous class. It's a developmental failure of the nasal cavity to communicate with the nasopharynx. See, the nasal cavity is the nasopharynx. Here there will be choanal atresia. This is endoscopic view showing choanal atresia here on right side. With the left side there is no choanal atresia. Okay. I'll show you the video, the surgical management. I'll show you in video in this class. Okay. Coming to the boundaries of the atriotic plate. Here, no need to mugging up and all. Okay. You know what's the superior boundary of this choanal atresia. I told you in the last class, the sphenoid sinus opens at the level of 1.5 centimeters from the roof of the choana. Okay. That means just above the choana, you have sphenoid. Okay, that's the sphenoid, superior boundary by the sphenoid, and lateral boundary by the medial pterygoid plate. Okay, the lateral boundary of the choana formed by the medial pterygoid plate of the sphenoid bone. Okay, and medially by the vomer. Why vomer? Because the bony part of the septum, posterior most part of the bony part of the septum is formed by the vomer. Just anterior to that is a perpendicular plate of ethmoid. Okay, that's why most posterior part of the septum adjacent to the choana is medial boundary is vomer. Okay, inferior boundary is what that horizontal part of the palatine bone. You know, now palatine bone, that palatine bone anterior 3/4 formed by the maxilla bone and 1/4 by the horizontal part of the palatine bone. Okay, if we remember like this, you won't forget at all. Okay. Is actually embryologically the persistence of the nasobuccal membrane, which normally ruptures in embryological period at around 6 weeks of life. Okay, and medial pterygoid plate and posterior vomer are expanded by the endochondral bone formation and fibroepithelial membrane that obstructs the choana. This is a membranous part. How is clinical presentation of the choanal atresia? Is actually presents as acute respiratory emergency in newborns. That too, if it is bilateral. Okay, if it is unilateral, doesn't cause much problem. Only if it is bilateral, there will be acute emergency, because I told you already the infants are obligate nasal breathers. Okay, up to 6 months of life, the obligate nasal breathers. In bilateral choanal atresia, the asphyxia is two types actually. In bilateral choanal atresia, asphyxia is two types. One is cyclical type, second one is suckling type. Cyclical type means patient will be relieved from this breathlessness and cyanosis with crying episodes. Why in crying episodes they will be relieved of this asphyxia? Because while crying they'll open the mouth and breathing through the mouth will happen. Okay, that's why that blue spells relieved with crying. Okay, and this is cyclical cyanosis. One more is suckling type of cyanosis. What is that suckling type of cyanosis? Here it will be the breathlessness and cyanosis episodes will be increased while feeding. Okay, increased while feeding. Why? Because the mouth of the infant is full with feeding. That's why they can't breathe through the mouth. That's why in cyclical cyanosis, uh, breathlessness increased, relieved with crying, and in cycling type, it's increased with feeding. Okay, it's relieved with crying in cyclical cyanosis, increased with feeding in cycling type of asphyxia. Okay, understood. I told you already, in the unilateral cases, usually the clinical picture is only nasal obstruction with tenacious mucous secretion, because the other side of the nasal cavity is open, they breathe through the other side. Okay, only if there is any deviation to the other side, grossly deviation to the other side of the other side, the nasal septum, then they will be having more problem. Otherwise, if the septum is normal and the turbinates are normal, unilateral choanal atresia doesn't cause much problem. Okay, how do you manage? Placing approximate sized oral airway usually resolves the distress. What is McGowan's technique? They may ask you in a 2 marks question, what's McGowan's technique? So placing a feeding nipple with a large hole in the mouth of the infant. Okay, they may ask you in viva. So what is McGowan's technique? Okay, placing a feeding nipple with a large hole in the mouth of the infant relieves the asphyxia. How do you diagnose it? Clinically, a cyclical cyanosis relieved with crying and inability to pass nasal catheter is suggestive of choanal atresia. Told already, relieved with crying and inability to pass nasal catheter through the nose. Okay, that suggests the choanal atresia. This clinically, a picture showing this is a normal patient. It's a picture showing the choanal atresia here. See, obstruction between the nasal cavity and the nasopharynx. Is the endoscopic picture showing the same thing? How do you diagnose radiologically? The CT scan is important. CT scan is diagnostic. On CT, choanal atresia diagnosed if the posterior choanal orifice is, this posterior choanal orifice is less than 0.34 centimeters. Posterior choanal orifice is less than 0.34 centimeters, or that vomer, that is this vomer is there, no, posterior part of the septum. The posterior vomer measures more than 0.5 mm centimeters. In both these conditions, you can diagnose choanal atresia by CT. Okay. How do you manage surgically? Because bilateral is emergency procedure, you have to do the surgery. This is the only option. Okay, you can do by transnasal and even transpalatal. Most commonly we do by transnasal only. Okay, transnasal septal. It's the most common repair strategy, because we have a lot of 0-degree endoscope and 45-degree endoscope, and with these endoscopes, by using equipment like co-bladder and debrider, you can remove the atretic plate. I'll show you in video in this class only. Okay. What are the pros and cons of the transnasal procedure? Okay, so punching through the atretic plate is essentially blind process. Okay, it's important to go inframedially. Otherwise, there will be chance of injuring the sphenopalatine artery, because sphenopalatine artery passes along the sphenoid bone, along the anterior wall of the sphenoid. Okay, and we have to drill parallel to the palate. Okay, otherwise we may accidentally enter into the clivus or sphenoid. Okay, risks are almost similar to that of FES, and but anatomy is abnormal and less predictable. That's why you should be very careful while doing the surgery. Okay, and it's the important thing is does not impair the development of dental arches. It's a very useful thing. Okay, in transpalatal there will be dental arches will be involved, because I'll tell you in the later. What is the transpalatal drawback? There is a 52% incidence of dental malocclusions resulting from narrowed maxillary dental arches in patients younger than 5 years age. I told you, no, because while doing transpalatal approach, we'll cut that palate region, there will be chances of dental malocclusion, because patients are less than 5 years old. No, there will be dental. What is occlusion means? Occlusion means there won't be proper fitting of the upper teeth with the lower tooth. Okay, that's called intercuspation. There won't be any intercuspation of the teeth. That's why there will be upper maxilla comes little forward, then lower mandible. There's a malocclusion. There will be chance of malocclusion. if you do transpalatal approach. That's the main drawback of this way. Okay, and there chance of palatal flap necrosis, palatal fistula, and persistent submucous tunnel, and the chances of restenosis. Okay, success rate is almost 80% in both these ways. Okay. Both transpalatal and transnasal surgeries have been shown to have similar outcomes, I told you. And there should be stenting should be done, and they should take a proper care. Okay, the stents required to be kept in situ for at least 6 weeks, otherwise a chance of restenosis is there. Okay, some advice used to mitomycin C to reduce the granulations and fibrosis. Have to use you can use even KTP laser also. Understand? Okay, I'll show you the video of this corneal atresia surgical management. 1 second. You can see the nasal cavity endoscopically here. So the Merosil pack for decongestion. Okay, Jalocan with adrenal decongestion. For seeing the postmost part. Okay, infiltrating with Jalocan with adrenaline to reduce the bleeding, because the chance of bleeding is there in this procedure. To be careful. Okay. What is this equipment you are using here? It's a coablator. Okay, so by using coablator, you can reduce the bleeding. Okay, so coablator. Okay, see, this is the membranous part. That's why it's coming very easily. Membranous type of corneal atresia here. Okay, coablator very useful instrument. It doesn't cause any harm. This temperature doesn't go surroundings. Okay. Because there is a sphenopalatine artery here. You should be very careful while doing procedure in this area. Okay, so completely cauterizing being done. What is this? This is the instrument. This is the microdebrider. Okay, with microdebrider, removing the membranous parts of the atretic plate. Okay, you can remove only membranous part only with the microdebrider. You can't do for bony part. We have to do drilling for a bony part of the atretic plate. See, this is the drill, micro drill. Procedure being done. Removing the bony part of the corneal atretic plate. You can see here, you can see this one, Homer. This is the Homer. Okay. That the Homer is thickened. So drilling that part. This is lateral part, lateral wall, medial pterygoid plate. This is the Homer thing. You can remove the Homer part also for proper airway. All of you can see now here. It's very important procedure, emergency procedure also. See the difference. pre-op and post-operative. The Homer part is still debulking that area. Mainly it's obscuring this one. Okay. See, you can remove that Homer also. Okay. Anusha, see now the post-op picture is of the Koina. To make this much of opening, there is chances of restenosis is very less. Okay, and we can keep mitomycin C ointment to prevent any stenosis, and you have to keep any stents also. Sometimes 6 weeks. Okay, this is the video. Coming to the PPT. Okay. Coming to the infections of the external nose. Okay, why people usually rub their nasal vestibule and surrounding skin. That's the chance of infection of the external nose. Most of the reasons are mainly by minor abrasions and hair follicles are common sites of both acute and chronic infections. What is the infection causing organism is coagulase positive Staphylococcus, the most common pathogen, and nose is free of pathogens majority of the normal people. Okay. What are the diseases of external nose? First thing is cellulitis and deformities like saddle nose, hump nose, and crooked nose or deviated nose, and tumors like congenital, benign, and malignant. I'll show you in detail. Okay. Cellulitis is the etiology. Main causative organism is streptococci or staphylococci. The infection may be extension from the nasal vestibule. Clinical features are red, swollen, and tender nose. And the treatment is antisystemic, antibacterial, heart fomentation, and analgesics. It is an important one. We'll see many cases in our ENT OPD. Furuncle or boil of the nose. Okay. Etiology is acute infection of the hair follicles by Staph aureus. Okay. What are the predisposing factors? Picking of the nose and plugging the nasal vibrissae. It's more common in diabetic people also. Okay. Clinical features: a small red, extremely painful, tender swelling which may spread to the tip of the dorsum of the nose and rupture spontaneously in the nasal vestibule. Okay. How do you treat it? Medical treatment by warm compresses, analgesics, and topical and systemic antibiotics. Surgical treatment is the incision and drainage is done if fluctuation is appears, and furuncle is important. Furuncle should not be squeezed or premature squeezed, and incised prematurely squeezed or prematurely incised because infection can spread to cavernous sinus. I told you already what is dangerous area of the face. Okay. The lower part of the nose, philtrum, and the upper lip. Okay, this is dangerous area of the face. Why? Because from there the veins spread to the cavernous sinus through angular vein and inferior ophthalmic vein because they are valveless. Okay, that's why in any infection in this part is we should be very careful. Otherwise, the chance of infection spread to cavernous sinus. It's called a dangerous area of the face. Some main cause this one. Okay. What are the complications here? A cellulitis of the upper lip, septal abscess, and cavernous sinus thrombosis. Coming to the nasal vestibulitis. The etiology is same. Diffuse dermatitis caused by Staph aureus. What are the predisposing factors? These are nasal discharge due to rhinitis or sinusitis, and even nasal allergy, and frequent picking and wiping of nose with handkerchief. Okay. These are the predisposing factors. Coming to the clinical features, is two types mainly: acute and chronic. Is presented with red, painful, and tender swelling, and crusts and scales are painful and there will be chance of erosion and excoriation also is there. The infection may involve the upper lip. How do you treat it? Treat the cause of the nasal discharge. Either sinusitis, allergy, you should first treat the cause of the disease, and then you have to clean the crusts and scales with cotton soaked hydrogen peroxide and apply antibiotic and steroid ointment. A chronic pressure cartridge with either silver nitrate or one more thing, chemical cauterization. One more thing, one is silver nitrate, one is 50% TCA, that is trichloroacetic acid. Silver nitrate is 10%. Okay, these are chemical cartridges. Coming to the deformities and anomalies. This is important for your 2 marks question and your entrance examination also. They may show a diagram and what is this deformity. Okay. Coming to saddle nose. So depression of the nose involves bony, cartilaginous, or both parts. Okay. What's the etiology of it? Is mainly because of nasal trauma. Okay. And excessive and post-operative excessive removal of septum in submucous resection of the nasal septum. Okay, and even in destructive lesions like septal hematoma or abscess, and even granulomatosis disease of the nose. I will tell you in the next classes what are the granulomatosis disease of the nose. This is a picture showing saddle nose. See, saddle nose deformity. The depression. Okay, how do you treat it? By augmentation rhinoplasty. You have to take cartilage from either from nasal septum or auricle or cancellous bone from the iliac crest, or even allograft can be used to cover that depression. Okay, synthetic implants also you can use like a silicone and Teflon. It's called augmentation rhinoplasty. What is hump nose? This is the reversal of the saddle nose. The elevation in the dorsum of the nose. So may involve bone or cartilage parts and both, and reduction rhinoplasty. In all these cases, septorhinoplasty will be useful. Only in the hump nose, you don't need any septorhinoplasty. You need only reduction rhinoplasty. This may ask you to examination question. Okay, entrance examination. This is a normal picture of the nose. This is saddle nose. See the depression here. Okay, see the supra deformity. This is the hump nose. See the hump. Okay. Picture showing hump nose. What's the difference between crooked nose and deviated nose? They may give this picture. What is this nose? They may ask. One is saddle nose. One is crooked nose. One is deviated nose. One is hump nose. Okay. The difference between crooked nose and deviated nose is, see the bridge of the nose. See the bridge of the nose is S-shaped or C-shaped in crooked nose. Okay. See this S-shaped here. S-shaped or C-shaped in crooked nose. Here, the bridge of the nose is straight only. It's not C-shaped or S-shaped. It's straight only, but deviated to one other side. See, this is called deviated nose. Okay. It's in the same, but it's a curve like C-shaped or S-shaped. Bridge of the nose is C-shaped or S-shaped in crooked nose. Is straight but deviated to other side in deviated nose. Okay. Etiology is the same. Trauma is the main cause for it. Okay. Treatment is septorhinoplasty. The same thing. The C-shaped in crooked nose, septorhinoplasty. Deviated nose is straight but deviated to one side. Okay. The picture showing the deviated nose. See. Coming to the stenosis or atresia of the nares. Okay. What is the atresia of the anterior nares? Etiology mainly trauma and even surgery. What surgery you do for this one? Atropic rhinitis. That's a Young's surgery, Young's operation we call. Okay. In Young's operation, you will deliberately close the vestibular skin flaps to increase the vascularity of the nasal cavity. Okay. There are chances of atresia of the nares in that post-operative condition, and even destructive and inflammatory lesions of the nose, and congenital atresia due to non-canalization of the epithelial plug. It's a rare. Is treatment, surgical treatment only, that is reconstructive plastic surgery. Coming to the tumors of the external nose. is a congenital benign malignant in this important dermoid and meningoencephalocele in glioma, nasoalveolar cyst, benign conditions, rhinophyma or potato tumor very important, and malignant basal cells, basal cell carcinoma, squamous cell carcinoma, melanoma. Telling detail in next slides. Dermoid cyst. What are the dermoid cyst? There are three types of dermoid cyst. One is simple, second one is simple with sinus formation. Third one is intracranial connection. Okay, simple dermoid present as a midline swelling in the over the nasal bones and does not have any external opening. That's called simple dermoid. Dermoid always midline swelling mostly. Okay, dermoid cyst with sinus. Okay, there will be external pit will be there or the dorsum of the nose, and hair may be protruding from the sinus. If you see closely, you can see small tuft hair can be seen from the sinus opening. Okay. The third one is more dangerous one, intracranial connection. Okay. Here, sinus tract communicates intracranially. How do you treat this? Dermoid cyst lies between the nasal bones and upper part of the septum. See the diagram showing. This is a dermoid, simple dermoid. See the dermoid with sinus tract opening in the dorsum of the nose and even intracranial connection. Okay. You can see the tuft of hair from the here close up view. See sinus opening. Coming to the most important short answer question, that is a extranasal encephalocele or meningoencephalocele. Okay. Herniation of brain tissue with meninges occurs to the congenital bony defect, okay, like foramen cecum, which may be intranasal or extranasal. What are the clinical features of this encephalocele, meningoencephalocele? Is a this present with pulsatile swelling, one is pulsatile swelling, and the cystic swelling reducible and shows cough impulse. Okay, and I want to tell one more sign. That's called Furstenberg test. Positive Furstenberg test present. What is Furstenberg test? On bilateral compression of internal jugular vein, it leads to increase in the size of the mass. That's called Furstenberg test. It is positive only in meningoencephalocele, not in dermoid and in glioma. Okay, so they may ask you in questions. Okay, what's a positive Furstenberg test? It's present in extranasal encephalocele or meningoencephalocele. Very important for your entrance examination. Okay, positive Furstenberg test. That is increase in size of the tumor on bilateral compression of the internal jugular vein. Okay. And where so it's following sites. What are the sites of this meningoencephalocele? One is at the root of the nose, there's a nasofrontal variety, and side of the nose, that is nasoethmoidal variety, and anteromedial aspect of the orbit, that's a nasoorbital variety. How do you treat it? It needs neurosurgery and neurosurgical treatment because coming from the brain. It needs neurosurgery, which includes severing of the stalk from the brain and repairing the bony defect. See picture showing the brain tissue. This is a nasal bone. The foramen cecum. This is a defect, bony defect. Okay. Meningoencephalocele due to persistent foramen cecum. Actually, it's supposed to close in intraeternal life. If it is persistent because of the persistent opening of the foramen cecum, there will be meningoencephalocele. Here, one more, I want to tell one practical point. In any solitary polypoidal mass arising from the root of the nose in infants or up to 1-2 years of the age, we should suspect meningoencephalocele. First 2 years of life, any solitary polypoidal mass arising from the root of the nose should always suspect encephalocele. You should never be done or attempted biopsy. You should not attempt biopsy. Okay, because the chances of CSF rhinorrhea. Okay. How do you investigate? How do you know that this is encephalocele? Any radiological infection you are going to do? That is, first investigation you are going to do CT. First but investigation of choice is obviously MRI. Okay. Coming to the glioma. These are most of the gliomas which are nipped off portions of the encephalocele during embryonic development, and they are extranasal. Okay. Now other types are intranasal, and extranasal gliomas are almost always encapsulated. Okay. Clinical features. Here, the firm subcutaneous swelling may be seen on nasal bridge, side of the nose, or near the inner canthus. Treatment is glioma is removed by the external nasal approach. Here, the Furstenberg test is negative. Why? Because the connection is not there between the brain and the nasal cavity. See here, glioma is there. This closed, foramen cecum is closed now. Trapped glial tissue due to closure of the foramen cecum after herniation causing glioma. Understood? After herniation, this foramen cecum is closed. That's why it's called glioma. What's the last one? Tumor. This is a nasolabial cyst or nasoalveolar cyst, or one more name, Clostrid's cyst. Okay. This is a squamous epithelial line cyst arises from the epithelial layer situated at the junction of glomerular, lateral nasal and maxillary process. It lies in the bone and causes an excavation, forms a cavity. Okay. It's important one, nasolabial cyst. You will see in a lot of cases in OPD and OPDs. Okay. Clinical features. And even dental people also, they'll see this. It presents a smooth and soft bulge in the lateral wall and floor of nasal vestibule anterior to the inferior turbinate. Okay, and large cyst obliterated at the nasolabial sulcus. And the important thing is the fluctuation and fluid thrill best felt with one finger in the vestibule and second under the lip. Okay, one finger in the vestibule here and one finger under the lip. The treatment is exercise to the sublabial approach. Sublabial, you know, no sublabial approach from the gingivo-buccal sulcus near the midline. Okay, a portion of the nasal mucosa may be removed because cyst may be adherent to it. Okay. Coming to the important one, two marks question. What is rhinophyma or potato tumor, or one more name? Anybody? Elephantiasis of the nose. Okay. The entrance exam question for you. The slow growing benign tumor occurs due to the hypertrophy of the sebaceous glands in the region of the nasal tip. Most of the patients are men past middle age. Okay, it's usually seen in long standing cases of acne rosacea. Patient present with pink and lobulated mass over the nose, and which gives unsightly appearance to the face. Okay, the big tumors can cause nasal obstruction and obstructed vision also with that very big size. You can see this diagram showing the rhinophyma. Paring down the bulk of the tumor may be done with sharp knife and carbon dioxide laser. Okay, the raw area may be allowed to re-epithelize, and the complete extent of the tumor usually followed by skin grafting. Coming to the papilloma, what of the nose? This may be singular, multiple, or pedunculated or sessile. Treatment consists of surgical excision, usually done under local anesthesia. Coming to the important question, basal cell carcinoma for an entrance question. This is the most common malignant tumor of the nose. Almost 87% equal affects either sex, 40 to 60 years of age. Common sites are tip, ala of nose. And the clinical features of it, this slow growing lesion may present as cyst, papule, nodule, or ulcer with rolled edges present. Okay, the lesion which remains confined to the skin for a long time may invade underlying cartilage and even bone. Lymph node metastasis is extremely rare in case of basal cell carcinoma, also known as rodent ulcer. This is the most common malignant tumor of the nasal skin. What is the treatment for it? For early lesions, it may be treated with cryosurgery or radiation, and even surgical excision that includes 3 to 5 mm of normal skin around the tumor mass. If it is recurrent and extensive lesion, you have to remove the extensively involve the cartilage and bone. Wide resection is needed here. Okay, the large superficial defect is closed either local or distant flaps or by using prosthesis. Coming to squamous cell carcinoma, or otherwise known as epithelioma. This is the second most common malignant tumor of the nose skin. Equally affects either sexes at the age of 40 to 60 years of age. Presents as infiltrating nodule and ulcer with rolled out edges present here. The common site are lateral wall of vestibule and columella, which may extend into nasal floor and upper lip. Nodal metastasis to the parotid and submandibular nodes are seen in 20% of the cases. Okay, here nodal metastasis is there. Here lymph node metastasis is extremely rare. Okay, in basal cell carcinoma. What is the treatment? Early lesion is responds very well to radiotherapy. In advanced lesions, we have to do wide surgical excision along with plastic repair of the defect. Okay. Metastatic cervical lymph nodes, they require block dissection. Clinical features. There's melanoma. Clinical phase is the slow growing rare lesion present. It's superficially spreading type and spreading type or nodular invasive type. Treatment is treated with mainly surgical excision. It's for today. Okay. Any doubts? Please let me know. In the chat box. I'm ready to answer. In this actually today class important this one are points are I told you coronal atresia is not answers question for you. And any chart, any doubts? I told you already coronal atresia. This is an important short answer question for you. And two types of asphyxia. What are they? Two types of asphyxia. What are they? Cyclical type and cycling type. In cyclical type, asphyxia relieves with crying, and in cycling type, asphyxia increases with feeding. Okay. What is Furstenberg test important? Furstenberg test is bilateral compression of internal jugular vein leading to the increase in size of the mass. This positive is a positive Furstenberg test. It's present in positive Furstenberg test is present in meningoencephalocele, and in any patient of age less than 2 years of age comes to you with any growth in the nasal cavity that is from the root of the nose, you should not do any biopsy because you may obviously should suspect is a meningoencephalocele. Okay, main investigation of choice is MRI of the nose and PNS. Okay, coming to the tumors, basal cell carcinoma is most common. Squamous cell carcinoma responds to radiotherapy. And regarding deformities, saddle nose, hump nose, crooked nose, deviated nose. Okay, they may ask you in entrance questions like on some diagram they may ask give and can ask what is the type of deformity. Okay, crooked nose, the nasal bridge is either C-shaped or S-shaped. In deviated nose, the bridge is straight but deviated to the other side. Okay. Any doubts, please tell me. I think small topics today. Okay, no questions. Okay, then I'll conclude for today. Thank you. Stop share.
I can.